everyone, I'm Michelle. I was Kristen's roommate in Brooklyn, New York. We were roommates the entire 6 years that I lived there, and we lived in the same apartment the entire time I was in New York. So I guess we really hated it and hated each other. No, I mean, Kristen ultimately was my person in New York. She was my LTR. I always had her, could count on her. Literally called her from a payphone one time because I didn't have a working cell phone many times because I couldn't afford the bill, and she always answered the phone when it came from a random 212 number like that, because she figured it would be me. Who does that? Yeah, every time we got together, Kristen liked to tell our stories, and I always joked that she would be the one to write my memoir because I couldn't actually remember anything. It's hard, and I bet a bunch of you are feeling that too. Kristen and I were put together by a mutual friend of ours who found a 3-bedroom, and so she had already asked me to move in, and she asked Kristen, and she said, hey, I found a 3-bedroom, it's perfect, but you will have to live with somebody that you don't know. And I had a similar experience in college where I didn't know my 4th roommate, but she and I eventually became best friends, so I figured, it had worked for me before. Don't see why it wouldn't work for me again, and I was right. Very glad that worked out. That first summer, Kristen and I lived together. She had just graduated from college, and I just moved to New York myself, and our 3rd roommate, our mutual friend, had to leave for some personal reasons. So it was just me and Kristen that first summer, and we were babies. And we said yes to every invitation that we got, and found ourselves in quite a bit of trouble, good, fun trouble. And yeah, that first summer we really bonded, and people asked us if we were together or, a couple, and we would just not correct them, and we would just say yes, and then it just stuck that she was my person. And in that way, I think that while I've seen Kristen remembered as an ally of the queer community, she was just the queer community in New York. That same love and affection that you have for people in the most platonic and beautiful way. She really understood that part of our communal existence, and we really loved her. Kristen had so many friends. She was friends with everyone instantly. She was friends with my friends from college. She knew everyone, and everyone knew her. And she had no boundaries with friendships, in the sense that I could be friends with her friends, and she would not care, of course. Like I said, she took me everywhere to all these shows and gigs, and I definitely got to 1,000 gigs because Kristen took me there. She was my favorite person. And I have so many more stories I wish I could share with you all. One day, I hope to be together in the same room where we can really celebrate our life.